Tonight we've got Titans and Steelers on Thursday Night Football. You can hear the game on 97.3 ESPN. So, Jeff, let's run down a couple of players that should be active in tonight's game.
Well, I think you're definitely going with your stud Steelers. I think you got Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. There's a great matchup for both. Tennessee looks pretty good as well as the running game. I think DeMarco Murray's your top guy. I also think that Rashard Williams is definitely in play, as is Delanie Walker. So I think you got plenty of options of both. It could be a high-scoring game, a very entertaining game.
All right, Jeff, we got the quarterback list here. Let's take a look at some of the top plays for the week. How about Alex Smith against the Giants? The Chiefs seem like they have been down the last couple of weeks, but is the Giants' defense just what the doctor ordered?
Yeah, they're terrible. The Giants have all but given up. I'm surprised that McAdoo still has a job. I expect that Alex Smith is going to have a great game. And the Giants have given up a touchdown to tight ends in every game this year, plus Week 17 last year. So Travis Kelce is a must-start.
All right, let's look at Matt Stafford against the Chicago Bears. He struggled out of the gates against the Browns last week, but does he have a bigger game against his division rival?
Yeah, I sort of saw that coming because it was a sandwich game, it was a trap game for Detroit. But now they look like they could go in Chicago. Chicago is also bad. I think that their secondary is weak. Both the receivers are looking good, and Theo Riddick was in the mix last week. So I think Stafford is a top 10 option this week.
Jeff Pasquino, footballguys.com. What about Case Keenum? I mean, is he a guy that you're thinking about? He's going against his old teammates in the Rams. He put up some big numbers last week, but is he a fantasy play?
He's a tough one. I think he's fighting for his job because they've got a guy in the wings just waiting to get his old job back. So I think that and Teddy Bridgewater. So I think he's playing for his job. I think he could do well, but the way to beat the Rams right now is to run the ball. So I really like both running backs, McKinnon and Murray, for Minnesota over Keenum this week.
All right, Jeff, a couple more quarterbacks. Dak Prescott, he's going up against that Philly defense. No Ezekiel Elliott. So do they lean more on Dak against the Eagles?
They don't have a choice, but the real question is their offensive line going to be intact? Because they gave up, I think, 9 sacks last week, 6 to Claiborne. And if Smith is out again on that line, Dak's going to be scrambling for his life against that formidable Philadelphia front four, where it's really a front 8 where they just shift guys all in and out. Dak's still a top 10 guy, but he's going to be under duress all game.
All right, and obviously we'll pick one more quarterback here that might be an interesting play for players out there, and that would be, how about the Drew Brees? Is the return of Drew Brees to fantasy prominence back?
Again, we're in the middle of the last week of buys. I think that he's this top 10 guy that the Saints are projected to win and score plenty of points at home. So Brees is always in play in that scenario, and Washington is iffy all around. It's a very tough team to read, but Brees is pretty solid, but a lot of his production right now is from dropping the ball off into his running back's hands. So I like his upside, but I don't think he's going to be that 3-touchdown, 350-yard guy this year.
All right, let's go to some running backs. Jeff Pasquino, footballguys.com. Keep sending us your questions at 609-403-0973. We'll get off as many as we can. Kareem Hunt, I'm an owner. I've been very disappointed. Is this the week that he goes off again against the Giants, or have teams figured him out?
Well, keep in mind that, as we all know, Andy Reid is coaching him, so all bets are off. We went through this with Westbrook many years. But I think this is a great week for Kareem Hunt. He should see plenty of touches. He should dominate. The game script looks right perfect for him to be. The Giants are terrible again. The Chiefs should be ahead late, and Hunt should just pound the rock through it in the second half. I like him as the top 3 running back this week.
What about Leonard Fournette against Cleveland? He's been another guy that, if you've been a Fournette owner, he's been a little disappointing.
And he could be disappointing again this week, because Cleveland's the number 1 defense on DVOA against the ground game. So, which means that Jacksonville's going to have to throw the ball with Blake Bortles. So all bets are off there. But I think Fournette, he gets the volume. I just don't know if he can break that long run against a very good and underrated Cleveland run defense. Jordan
Howard, big player a couple of weeks, some first-round picks for a lot of players, but hasn't lived up to it. Will this be a week in Week 11 that you should get some big yardage out of him?
I think he's another one of those guys you put the tag of capable, solid, but not a big upside. He's going to get plenty of touches. He's going to see the ball plenty. Detroit's not terrible, but not great either. So I think he'll be a productive low-end running back one this week.
All right, last running back here. Let's go locally. Do you see enough from Jay Ajayi to get a feel on what you should advise fantasy owners to do with him?
I do. I like him. I was actually at the Denver-Philly game a couple weeks ago, and I saw him, and everybody was behind it, every carry, every touch of the ball. It looked like he had an audition for after the bye. Now they've had 2 weeks for him to get ready. I think that they're going to feature him more. There's going to be a true feature back scenario for the Eagles at this point. And Ajayi could get 20 touches easily this week. And the only reason that I would think that he wouldn't the rest of the way is if they rest him. So I think that this is going to be a good game for Ajayi. Strong RB2 play this week.
Okay, let's look at some quick receivers here. Diggs had a nice game last week. Does he make it 2 in a row? Because he was another guy who had some injury issues.
Yeah, and it's going to be an interesting game. I think the Minnesota Rams game is going to be a shootout, so that's going to be very entertaining. It goes back to that Case Keenum fighting for his job. Both Thielen and Diggs are wide receiver 2s with upside this week.
How about Brandon Cooks going against Oakland? He's a guy that a lot of people thought would be, a big-time stud this year. He hasn't quite lived up to that billing, but is he getting more comfortable in New England?
I love this game for New England. New England, what they did, this game's in Mexico City, so keep that in mind. It's an international game. New England stayed in Denver, trained all week in Colorado Springs at elevation, then are going to Mexico City on Saturday. Oakland stayed in Oakland at sea level. So New England's going to be playing fast, and they're going to tire them out in the second half, and they're going to put up a lot of points on a lot of plays. Start every Patriot you can find.
Yeah, I like that. DeAndre Hopkins, he was a stud with Watson. He's been okay with Savage, but what kind of game do you think he gives you against Arizona?
I think it'll be capable, but that Houston-Arizona game shows I have no interest in that game. It looks terrible. Battle of second, third-rate quarterbacks. Hopkins is in play in PPR leagues based solely on volume. He sees a lot of targets from Savage, but again, it throws from Savage. So I don't hold a lot of water towards him, and they're going to be without. They'll be out without Will Fuller this week. So Bruce Ellington is a sleeper wide receiver to pick up if you're desperate for a flex.
Hey, Jeff, I was at that Eagles-Broncos game, too, and I, saw that Ajayi up close and personal like you. Okay, my turn for rapid-fire questions from our listeners. Jay Williams, Morris, or Drake in a PPR league?
I actually like Drake this week. This is a good Drake weekend, and believe it or not, a good weekend for Jay Cutler.
I may be asking this for the next few weeks. Wentz or Brady? And a kicker question, too, please. Chris Boswell or Justin Tucker?
Tucker is always in play for me. I just love him as a kicker. But who was the other kicker? I'm sorry?
The other kicker was Chris Boswell.
Well, that's tonight. I like both those kickers, but they're not huge. And I think you can find better guys in the waiver wire. There's always better kickers in the waiver wire. Boswell I have as kicker number 5 this week, so that's where I go to. As far as quarterbacks, I love both Brady and Wentz as top 5 guys, but as I mentioned earlier, Brady, start all your Patriots.
In a PPR league, a person needs running back help. Mixon, Montgomery, Latavius Murray, or Woodhead if he plays?
I would go Mixon only because he's going to dominate touches, slightly over Murray.
Big Ben or Matt Stafford at quarterback?
Big Ben's at home, but I still like Stafford. I think if both are close, it's a coin flip. I like Stafford to win that game and lead that offense.
Goff or Mariota will stay at quarterback?
I really like that game to shoot out, so I like Goff.
All right, let's get Jeff's plays for the week as a couple under-the-radar guys that you're playing this week, Jeff.
Well, Atlanta, you got to watch the injury situation, but Tevin Coleman could be your starting running back. And also, as I mentioned about the running backs, Rex Burkhead, I expect to see him a lot of – he dominated the snaps for the Patriots, and I think he's going to be a solid play in PPR leagues at running back. Wide receiver, don't sleep on Marvin Jones. He should have a bounce-back game this week. I love all the Tampa Bay receiving options, including Cameron Brate, and I also like a quarterback, Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think Tampa Bay at Miami, that game's going to be very favorable for Tampa Bay to score some points.
All right, Jeff Pasquino, footballguys.com. That is week number 11's plays, and we will, of course, check it all out here on the Sports Bash next week for week number 12 with Jeff. Jeff, good luck to you, pal.
Good luck, everybody. Enjoy the games.